bisa lebih dari 25.000, saya kira bisa Pak. Ini kalau ini bagi sawah ada juga wilayah yang curah hujannya masih bagus, tanam pada maksud saya kalau memang bisa Pak, kalau bisa kira-kira kemampuan total sumber itu berapa? Jadi target 25.000. Jadi nanti di laporan dan kami bersama. Oke. Ada menjebak. Setelah bagus.
Jangan tidak bisa diinstal habis. Yang
bahwa kita sedikit mengalami
price money.
Kemudian biaya olah tanah adanya percepatan bahan uang terutama mampu di tengah yang berhenti dengan pola usaha sehingga para petani, para pemilik ini menaikkan biaya olah tanahnya dari 1,2 menjadi 1,5 kalau itu kita. Yang kedua yang agak memperlambat adalah proses penanaman. Proses penanaman kalau menggunakan kita dorong agar petani untuk periode ini. Ini kita mendorong untuk tidak melakukan penanaman tidak.
Iya. Ini apa sebenarnya? Highlight itu. Oh, nah, itu sih moderatornya. Saat lagi. Terus gimana? Apa? Nggak apa-apa, aku udah share di grup WA.
May I have your attention, please, for all participants. The webinar is about to begin. Yeah, and good morning, everyone. I am Iketut Swar Adnyana. Yeah, I am moderator on this seminar. Welcome to our webinar with the topic Achieving Sustainable and Regenerative Development Goals. Talking about the development, we always consider the Agenda 21st, which has an objective to achieve the global sustainable development. This has two principles of agenda, namely to combat environmental damage, property. I mean that poverty. This is through global cooperation and on common interest, mutual needs, and shared responsibilities. In order to develop our new paradigm of development, we have for expert as a speaker. They will talk about sustainable development and try to raise a response of participants and share our experiences regarding the concept and reality development. Okay, this is my introduction. And before we start to discuss about this topic, achieving sustainable and regenerative development goals, I would like to introduce its speakers. The first one is Nauri Miyazawa PhD. She from the Graduate School of International Development, Nagoya University, Japan, and visiting researcher in Udayana University. With her presentation, the agricultural development in the era of a new normal in Bali, this is study from Japan. And the second speaker is Associate Professor Dr. Irina Savitri Zen. She's from Kuliah Architecture and Environmental Design, Deputy Director Sejahtera Center for Sustainability and Humanity International Islamic University, Malaysia. With the topic is regenerative sustainability from the COVID-19 pandemic. And the third speaker is Dr. Insinyur Igede Silana MSc. He's the rector of Dwijendra University with his presentation, Hitri Hita Karana, Local Wisdom and Agricultural Development. And the fourth speaker is Haidai Nguyen from Vietnam, the director of WO Bali. And his presentation title is Evolution in Regenerative Development via Sustainable action. Okay, before we start to the next session is a presentation session. Yeah, I would like to give or inform to each speaker a deliver presentation for 3 minutes. Okay, I give the first chance to Naomi to present your paper. Time is yours. Naomi, are you ready? Okay, we are waiting for presentation from Nauri.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for some technical problem. Yes. Now I can hear you, and I hope you can hear me clearly. Okay. So can I start my presentation? Hello, Dwijendra. Can I start my presentation?
Yeah, you can start now, me.
Okay. Om Swastiastu.
Om Swastiastu.
Nama saya Naori dari Japan, Dawei University, dan visiting researcher Udayana University. So I would like to extend my gratitude to Dwijendra University for me to have this opportunity to take part in this important webinar. I'm particularly thankful to Park Rector, Dr. Gedesedana, and also honorable members, Dr. Haidai, Dr. Irina Deng, and the moderator, Dr. Swarad Yana. I'd like to briefly introduce myself. I've been lived in Bali for almost 1 year to conduct my research. I also have working experience with United Nations organizations such as United Nations University. Today, I will talk about sustainable development and agricultural development in the era of new normal in Bali. I will also discuss some case studies from Japan. Let me share with you my presentation. I hope you can see my presentation now.
Yeah. You can start.
Okay, thank you. First of all, let's have an overview on the social impact of coronavirus on local people. Currently, tourism activities have been stagnant due to the impact of coronavirus. In Bali, approximately 70% of the employment services have relied on the tourism industry until the outbreak of coronavirus. Therefore, many people have lost their job, losing their income sources.
Apa itu?
Kenapa
dilempar-lempar begitu?
Governor of Bali province, Wayan Costa, mentioned the success in curbing the coronavirus was largely due to the team effort with 1,203 others. Governor
Kan celana tingkra, boleh kelihatan di sini tuh. Orang baca pas turun-turun rolnya bilang ada sesuatu ini.
as a province,
Ada yang nggak usah edit di sini Pak menggunakan dasi, misal proposal belum sebenarnya nanti disesuaikan saja. Kalau proposal dan belum menggunakan dasi.
Kelihatan rapi kan?
Saya kira nanti membedakan.
of Bank Indonesia, Mr. Rizky said the type of businesses that are still active to operate normally and in the processing and farming industries. After the influence of coronavirus in Bali, I have observed that many people have started agricultural work while no or less job in tourism sector to safeguard food security. As seen in the above photo, many young people now planting vegetables at farm, also starting to grow some vegetables in their home garden. I also have joined planting banana trees and some vegetables in the farm. Local people started to recognize the risk of high dependency on tourism sector. So these photos are taken in Ubud. Many land has been cultivated after the coronavirus outbreak. This is one of the strategies for local people after the influence of coronavirus in Bali. Can we now look at the recent trend? This chart shows change of paddy field areas in Bali. Since 2010, paddy field has been continuously decreased. In these 6 years, 5,500 hectares of paddy field already lost, which is about 7% decrease. I would be interested in seeing the change of figures in new normal era. As I mentioned in the previous slide, some more people resumed planting rice and vegetables after long pause. As background of agricultural land conversion, there are many factors influenced. I would like to highlight here some of the factors. First, low income from agriculture. I interviewed with farmers in Subak. Monthly salary for farmers sometimes around 1 to 2 million per month, which is not enough for farmers to support their family. Also high demand by tourism industry. Agricultural land has been converted into villa, hotels, and tourism activities as well. Limited regencies benefit from tax exemption policy on agricultural land. Some regencies already have employed tax exemption policy on agricultural land. However, there is hesitance among farmers in selling land as the land has been inherited from generation to generation within their family. We have witnessed various agricultural resources existing in Bali. Among all, Subak system particularly has potential to provide various opportunities to those who are involved in agriculture and also to create new value in economy in the era of a new normal. First of all, in Bali, there are 1,200 Subak, around 7,600 hectares paddy field managed by Subak. In addition, Subak had achieved to show some new value. I would like to talk some example. First, clean energy production in Subak, agricultural production, Bali brand, new value in tourism, such as agritourism and agricultural cooperatives. I have observed Subak has various functions, but I would like to highlight here several functions. First, ecological function, economic function, recreational function, social stabilization function, and cultural function. In order to cope with the new normal era, economic function and recreational function could be strengthened more. With this function of Subak can contribute to strengthen society, economy, and community. Small hydropower has been introduced in Subak Jatilui with cooperation of Japanese government. This is clean energy, environmental friendly. Now Subak Jatilui can use electricity from generated power for lighting up street. Subak has much water flow in mountainous area, a lot of potential to introduce small hydropower project in other Subak as well. In the era of new normal, it's important boosting economy by agriculture sector. It will be effective to develop more Bali brand. This photo showing some product from Subak Wangaya Beten near Jatilui. This is a white organic rice, and right-hand photo showing red rice tea, and good products already available. But I interviewed with farmers. They say still limited access to market. Those products good not only for local market, but also good for export to other countries. But they need support on promoting and marketing. So I think the importance is promoting value-added product by Bali brand. Left-hand side photo showing non-organic white rice sold at the market. Price is around 10,000 rupiah per kilogram. On the other hand, right-hand side photo showing the Jatilui Mera organic red rice. This is sold by online. Price is 61,000 per kilogram. If we compare the price, 5 times higher price with organic red rice. Let's look from different perspectives with global rice market. This chart shows domestic consumption of rice, total in world. Demand for consumption of rice in the world is getting higher and higher. Next chart shows import rice by region. Amount of importing rice has increased globally, and some regions has rapidly increased importing rice, such as Middle East, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Southeast Asia. If we look at global organic rice flour market, it's forecasted to increase rapidly, almost 2 times increase in 6 years. By those slides, I wanted to show creating Bali brand with a high added value product like Jatilui organic rice could be a way forward for boosting economy through agriculture. Now I would like to talk about some experiences in Japan. This could be relevant in Bali situation when we discuss about strategy for sustainable agriculture. First case is about one village, one product movement. This one village, one product movement has been introduced in Asia and Africa, as you can see left side logo in various countries. In Japan, this program, Regional Development Program, initiated by Governor Prefecture Oita in 1979, community produce goods with high added value. Now, various countries adopted this one village, one product movement. In Thailand, one village, one product shop also available at the airport for souvenir. And also passenger in the airplane can buy these products choosing from brochure. Maybe many of you already seen OTOP product from Thailand. This could be possible here in Bali, like one Subak, one product. So there are 3 principles in this one village, one product. First, think globally and act locally. Second, self-reliance and creativeness. Third, human resource development. This is a map showing one village, one product by each village in Oita Prefecture. As you can see, a variety of items: agricultural products, jewelry, fishery, craft, such as music instruments, and so on. If we compare with the past data, the number of items increased 2.3 times. In 1980, 140 items, but in 2001, over 330 items. If we compare the sales size, it increased 4 times, around 330 million US dollar in 1980s, in 2001, over 1,300 million US dollar. Let's look at what kind of policy process we took in Japan for one village, one product. First, provincial government asked each village to choose one product which is unique and has potential. Village development meetings were organized with provincial government and local village. Priority on local village decision-making. Farmer group activation, such as women group. Training on product making. And agricultural festival organized to compete on village products. So there are support by provincial government provided in some technical aspect, such as developing products, processing, packaging, marketing, and networking. Now, I would like to move to the next case from Japan. As a new value in tourism could be more than tourism. We introduced Paddy Field Bank, Sawa Bank. This Sawa Bank system has started in 1982 in Japan. Now Sawa Bank has been implemented over 80 places in 32 prefectures. Sawa Bank was recognized as one of the rural-urban interchange activities to revitalize rural societies. Let's look at the system of Sawa Bank. City residents, students, foreigners, company pay fee to Sawa Bank organization, consists of farmers, government, cooperatives, associations. Then Sawa Bank organization manages Sawa, paddy field. These participants from city area also join in farming activities such as transplanting and harvesting. In return, they can receive package of rice from Sawa Bank. There are many benefits of this Sawa paddy field bank, but I'd like to highlight here some of the points. So conservation of soil. Second, aging population of farmers can get help from younger population. Third, younger people can involve in farming. Fourth, boosting economy in rural areas. Because people, company from city areas come to these rural areas and staying for some agricultural activities, paying fee and spending money for hotel and restaurant. Now I would like to move to the next topic in agricultural cooperatives, cooperative. As I mentioned in the earlier slide, now it's important to strengthen the economic function of Subak. This is one example in strengthening the economic function at Subak Tabanan, Subak Guama in Tabanan district. Subak Guama established agricultural cooperative in 2002. This cooperative has main activities: sales of agricultural input, selling fertilizer, pesticides, seedlings, seed, and so on. They also provide microcredit service. They have the return rate 95%. About half of the member, 270 members, borrowing credit. Livestock management and agricultural machine management. From these activities, cooperative generates around 60 million rupiah profit per year. This is the organizational chart for cooperative. I have interviewed with farmers about the changes after establishment of agricultural cooperative. First, productivity has increased. In 2012, rice productivity was about 5 tons per hectare, but in 2017, 7 to 8 tons per hectare. This is about 40% increase in yield. As the background of improved productivity, cultivation techniques has been improved. Members of agricultural cooperative regularly undergo training on cultivation techniques and knowledge. Access to agriculture input has become easier, especially microcredit, fertilizer seeds. Members also can return after harvesting. In addition, farmers' income increased and more young people are interested in agriculture. More and more agricultural workers at farm. Let's look at global perspective. Idea and practice of organizing cooperatives were registered by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage in 2016. Cooperatives has received much attention since then. Let's look and compare with similar cases in Japan. Japan also has agricultural cooperatives. First agricultural cooperatives was established in 1947. Since then, there are about 700 cooperatives as of today. Agricultural cooperatives organized by farmers. These cooperatives based on spirit of mutual assistance to protect farming and farmers' livelihood and to build better society. So this shows the program of cooperative. The function of bank for agricultural cooperatives, lending and saving for agriculture, jointly collect agricultural products such as rice and vegetable for sale. Training on agricultural technology is provided in the field. Jointly purchase agricultural machinery and fertilizer and keep at common facility. Farmers jointly sell agricultural products at farmers market. They also organize insurance for agriculture and life. By organizing in groups, the number and quality of agricultural products can be produced and equipment can be used at low price. These photos shows guidance on agricultural technology. This photo shows farmers market. This farmers market in Ehime Prefecture, managed by cooperative. Sales in fiscal year 2012 was 22 million US$, one of the largest cooperative in Japan and farmers market in Japan. 1,300 farmers sell products here. The total number of employees is about 130. Profits from sales support cooperative's farming business. So this is another example we call roadside station managed by cooperatives. The rest house located in the open roads equipped with parking lots, restroom, restaurant, and souvenir shops selling local products. These photos show inside of roadside station, restaurant for local food, selling local agriculture products. I'd like to introduce about cooperation between Indonesia and Japan. The Japan Agriculture Cooperatives Groups signed a cooperation agreement with JICA, Japanese International Cooperation Agency, in 2019. This cooperation is to support the organization of agriculture cooperatives for the promotion of agriculture. I would like to now conclude my presentation by suggesting possible strategy for sustainable development and agriculture in Bali in the era of new normal. Key concept is involving traditional organization in balancing conservation and development. Several directions were proposed: boosting economy by agriculture, developing strategic products like Bali brand, export value-added products such as organic rice, expanding agricultural cooperatives, new normals in tourism such as agriculture, agritourism, and beyond tourism, like example in the rural-urban interchange. Sukhsama, Om Shanti 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 Om.
Down, speakernya down apa? Kan ini masih ngomong gini. Semuanya dia. What's the problem? Dari sini. Ya, dia.
Apa tuh video konflik yang
Okay. Sorry, there is a problem with my application. Thank you for interesting presentation, Nari. And next speaker is Professor Irina. Okay, time is go.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Swara Adiana.
Yeah.
Assalamualaikum dan selamat pagi. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Universitas Dwijendra for inviting me to this international webinar on the achieving sustainable and regenerative development goals. And my session, I will present on the regenerative sustainability from the COVID-19 pandemic. So I will have emphasize on the environmental sustainability perspective, the implication from the COVID-19 pandemic. So my name is Irina. I'm from International Islamic Universities. So now I would like to share my screen. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Can see, yeah? Okay, from the perspective for sustainability, we need to sustain our earth, but of course it's not enough to only sustain, but we are also need to activate the actors and regenerate on from our current conditions. From the COVID-19 also, we see that we are able to have a collective action for positive result from the COVID-19 pandemics. As we know that the coronavirus pandemic itself is like a wake-up call for us that we are actually exceeding our planet's limits. But how the connection between the coronavirus itself with our Earth actually is because of the deforestation, biodiversity loss, and the climate change is make pandemic itself is more prevalent. Yeah? The deforestation itself is the rate is very high, and then is make it our animals, the wild animals is closer to human population, and it is why the increasing the likelihood of zoonotic virus like SARS and also COVID-19 is more chances to have in the future. Yeah, the prediction from World Health Organization that will be more prevalent chances of the virus in our life since we change our natural system into what we call as mechanistic systems. So the IPCC, the International Government Panel on Climate Change, also warns that the global warming itself is also contributing to the emergence of new virus. If you look at see the coronavirus itself, it's not only cause a global pandemic of the global health, but also hits the economic decrease, the and also the global environmental change. So these three things, the themes that are hampers from the COVID-19 pandemics. So how is the climate change and COVID-19 are connecting? So from the rising global temperature, if you look at this picture, it seems like this is our planet, and this is how is the global warming effect is warmer our Earth, our planet, and it's cause infectious disease thrive better in a warmer climate actually. So it makes a disease carrying factors such as mosquito and rats is more prevalent. So the warmer climate itself is also enable them to survive in higher altitude and more bring disease to new places. So we can see that COVID-19 is cross boundary, is not have limitations. So the global warming itself is, if as we know that is caused from our actions at the local levels. In this slides also, I would like to address that human activities eroding due to also the world's ecological foundations. We know that deforestation rate is very high. The Amazon has lost 70% of the size in the last 50 years. And the topsoils of the world is also degraded. 85% of the wetland has been lost, and also the world forest. And this is also related to the terrestrial ecosystem that is why it's being emphasized in the global SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals number 15. That is the importance of the terrestrial ecosystem being highlighted in these SDG goals and the related indicators. And on the second part is oceanic ecosystem. We know that in order to provide the fish consumption, fish stock are declining. We have the very massive fish activities declining due to the demand for our increasing populations, and also the oceanic area also becomes acidic because of the acid rains, and 50% of the world's coral reef system is also destroyed because of this acid rain. That is why the importance of the oceanic ecosystem is represented by the goals SDG goal 14 that shows as a life below water, and the related indicators is represent the importance on how we can achieve by addressing the target under SDG goal 14. And the last is about the species, which shows here that declining the species also is a direct impact due to the deforestation factors. So all these two is also interrelated with the SDG goals 13 on climate actions. So that is why the climate action, collective action is will give more emphasis in this my presentations. So in order to monitor the 17 SDG goals on how each country actually the performance of each goals also measured by the United Nations. So from the 149 countries collecting data, the first rank of the SDG goals achievement is achieved by the Sweden. If you look at from the 17 goals here, there are several goals are achieved, the targets represented in the green boxes, and also represent the red boxes, which is shows that the life climate change and the life on land is also under pressure for the Swedes. If you look at the Central African republics, it's also is worse because almost of the SDGs goals are represented in the red box, which is shows that it's not achievable, is threatening, and something must be done for these countries. So every country will works based on this framework SDG goals and then how they can achieve for each target by collecting the collective action from every countries and also the societies. And then back to the COVID-19. So the effort to flattening the curve is actually trying to break or to stop the chain of the virus. So that is why it's also due to, we know that we don't have yet the vaccine for COVID-19. So the effort is actually, again, to call the action for flattening the curve by having several action that we call it as a new normal. So if you look at this graph, if we don't have any action, of course it takes long times to flatten the curve. But if we have our healthcare system and we have, sorry? Something wrong?
No, you can continue.
Okay. So this is what we call as a collective human actions. And for the second graph that I showed you from Malaysia, recorded cases on the COVID-19, if this is the green line is actually shows the increasing estimating COVID-19 if we don't do a new normal actions. So this is the current, the orange line showing declining number of the new cases of COVID-19. And you see that this is new norms also in the rest of the world also now is varying mass with different terms, but of course the idea is trying to prevent the spread of the virus. And these are among the new normals that we already knows about this. But then our question is also, how is the impact of quarantine can decrease the positive case of COVID-19? If you shows in this graph, gathered from the research in the Wuhan, it shows that the impact of quarantine itself, of course, is decreasing the number of confirmed cases, positive cases in the 14 days of the virus developed. So it's very important for us to bear in our mind that for the country that who still has a high rates of positive case of COVID is to make a quarantine as a part of the actions in movement control order also. So if you look at on the second graph, is trying to relate with the environmental parameter, the confirmed cases. If you look at this and the average temperature, if you look at on the confirmed case from the blue line, showing the decreasing number of confirmed cases throughout the days, 17 days, and also followed by the orange line showing the decreasing trends and also the average of temperature. So it shows that the temperature also is playing important, significant roles in spreading the virus. So overall, if you look at on the effect of the pandemic to the environments, if we see in the diagrams, it shows that our action to stay at homes that is cause reduce of the number of PM 2.5 from the air pollutions because we are not having traveling much. We control our movement. It causes the positive impact to our environmental or air quality and also the clean beach. And but also at the same time, due to the stay at homes, we are also, if we are not doing the sorting waste or recycles, so separation, so it causes the increase of organic and inorganic waste. So this shows that the collective action is important. And again, I'm trying also to give another evidence from the COVID-19 that shows that forced behavioral change improve environmental quality. So this is also to see that the environmental pollution also decreased in Wuhan, China during the COVID-19. It's also demonstrated that human societies are capable of transforming themselves more or less or overnight by having this, that is the time for us to systemic economic change. And the COVID-19 also is a crisis that it is possible for us to make transformational change. This is the time period that actually we try to use this turning point, let us make positive changes. Yeah. And this is also another example on how the coronavirus pandemics impact to the environment by having look at on the 4 sectors: carbon emissions, wildlife and habitat, energy and waste. So if you look at on the carbon emissions, it shows significantly in terms of decreasing of air traffic, carbon monoxide, and also decrease of peak traffic congestion. All of these are related with this climate actions and also the responsible consumption production, and also the target 15.1 for the conserve, restore, and restore terrestrial and freshwater ecosystem. So this shows a direct effect from the COVID-19 to the environment. And of course, this is actually also related with several related SDG goals. The SDG goal 15 also related with other SDG goals. Remember that this SDG is actually interrelated and interconnected goals. So while you are achieving one goal, if actually you are also helping other goals to be promoted and improved. So from the energy, from the air quality, you go to the waste. And if also we know that increasing medical waste is also recorded in several countries. But at the same time, increasing consumer spend on the packaged foods is also, packaged matter is also increasing. This is because also the concern on how to improve our immune system, and also the increase of the medical waste recorded in China and also in other countries. And not only that, the packaged shipped goods is also recorded in the 1 million trees per year because of the trees itself used to produce the paper bag and also package of foods. Yeah. So if we go to the, I go to the energy itself, also it's recorded several increasing broadband data per second, and also increases online gaming activity. This is the social impacts also from the movement control order and stay at homes initiative, and also the worldwide streams is also increasing. So all of this is actually can improve the SDG temporary changes. Actually, we can make it more structured by put it into our economic activities. And the wildlife habitat, if I can share with you a bit, that it's not all the good news actually is truth. Yeah, some of the news is also a fake news, so we have to be careful as well on how is the COVID-19 effect to the wildlife and the habitats. So what I can see here that is we are share one planet, then we are interconnected. So we are also knows that our action is also cause reaction to the other part of the human or wildlife and also the habitat. So like COVID-19, the climate change is a old story, biodiversity loss and financial collapse. This is actually known as have a not have physical borders. So it's not only climate change as global environmental challenge, the COVID-19 also is global pandemic challenge. So these problems again have to be managed by having a collective actions. Here, I would like also to share how to sustain the best environmental quality during COVID-19 pandemic. The picture is taken by the website taken the water quality in the Venice in Italy. This is during where the tourism activity is very minimum, and in order to avoid the virus. But then how again, we are not only wants to secure the environment, I understand. We are also wants to balance between the three pillars of sustainability, which is environment, economy, and social. So how we going to sustain the best environmental quality during the COVID-19? So this concept of regenerative sustainability, this is not the new concept actually, but it shows that our system right now that we need to not to be wastage, but we have to be resourceful. And there is a transition for that from the mechanistic to more ecological or living system worldview. So in order to develop these comprehensive rules, we need to we need to have restorative relationships between humanity and ecosystem, and also reconceptualize our relationship among the human, technology, ecology, economic, social, and political system. If you look at on these diagrams, you look at on the right part, on the green ones, is actually what we want to achieve. So how to achieve this regenerative system? And if you look at on the left side, the conventional, the green one, which is what we already achieve right now. The environmental effects is actually shows the inability of the Mother Earth to cater our demand to consume, to fulfill our consumption in order to survive in this planet Earth. So on the vertical, less energy material is required in order to cater this regenerative sustainability. So what we want to do in order to achieve regenerative sustainability. So lesson from the COVID-19 again is proven that we can do in order to improve our environmental quality. From our linear economic approach, from what we take, what we make is always going and up into the landfill. Wasteful, we don't do anything. We just consume, we extract more from resource material in our forest, but how to change, to shift from the linear economic to circular economic, how the economics, which is more emphasized on the circular and resource efficient, which is actually more long terms in terms of decreased greenhouse gas emissions reduction. At the same time, also, of course, bring more direct effect to climate action goals, SDG goals 13. But of course, it need more approach in order to change the practice in manufacture and logistic. And we are also, of course, in our part as a consumer, we are also need to be practice the source separation and practice the recycle in order to minimize this raw material consumption for the deforestation. So in the concept of urban metabolism, which is trying to adopt this linear to circular economics, is also my emphasis for urban metabolism is because of the World Bank emphasized that in 2030, 70% the world population will located in urban area, so in the city. But how is it, how we can not reduce our dependency for the rural, so rural is no more to provide us resource consumption material or rice and other type of raw material, because how the city itself can survive and sustain if we are not no more have less supply from the rural. So this is where the concept of urban farming, the composting, urban compost or local compost effort, and also the composting facility at the household level is very much encouraging at recently, is in order to concern on the urban area to be sustained, and the changes of the rural towards more urbanized. And this is very important on how we achieve this regenerative by restoring our city. If you look at in this agriculture, in the rooftop is showing that we acknowledge limited space in the urban area. But of course, this is at the same time also helping in reduce the microclimate that we know in the cause of urban heat island phenomena also happen in the city. So from the urban metabolism, I would like also to share with you about the donut economy. This is another approach that actually trying to regenerate our concern more by considering our approach on the resource consumptions and raw materials. So the donut economic itself is actually a visual framework also for sustainable developments. It's combining the concept of planetary boundaries. This is the planetary boundaries, the green ones, and also with the complementary concept of social boundaries, the inner one. On the basic needs, actually we want to balance between the essential human needs and the planetary boundaries. On the outside, if you look at on the pale orange color, it shows that various global environmental challenges that we face right now is because of we are overshooting our uh, resource consumption that cause the global environmental challenge. But at the same time, we are also, this approach is actually also trying to against the mainstream economic models that is actually more towards of economic growth and ignoring the consider the environmental limitations. Yeah. So instead of focusing on the growth of the economics, this donut economy is actually a model that's trying to focus to ensure that everyone in the earth have the access to their basic needs, the inner circle one, and at the same time, not beyond these planetary boundaries. While at the same time, of course, not limiting opportunity for future generation by protecting our ecosystem. So this new concept by Dr. Rowan from UK, is also already adopted by the Amsterdam. They are also response to what we call as Amsterdam's donut model of economics is due to the COVID-19 pandemics. So I can see that this is maybe the good effect of the, we don't know that every crisis have a good spillover effects. Yeah, and this is the good things about on how we can survive and then have an action, collective action to combat this global environmental challenge and also the pandemics. That is actually shows the connection, strong connection between these two. So how the city Amsterdam has adopted this donut economic model by having these three value chains from food and organic waste streams, consumer goods, and also the built environments. They are trying to have the sustainable food awards in order to welcoming more actors at the local level, short the food chains and provide the sustainable food system, healthy and sustainable food for the people, and of course, more towards on organic waste streams. Yeah, these are among the examples that that happened in the Amsterdams. And of course, the city itself is also set as the right example by reducing its consumption. In a built environment, I can see that several journal already emphasize that working is not only the single individuals have an action, but of course the procurement, the local government actually have to works very hard in demonstrating the donut economy, translating at the local level, at the organizational level by having upcycling, recycling, and etc. So these are among the example on how we are translating the various framework of the donut economy, linear to circular economy in order to cater the regenerative sustainability. I think that is end up my presentations.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Sufitri, Irina.
Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. And the next presentation is Dr. Dwijendra. Okay, time is yours. Please, Mr. Dwijendra.
Thank you very much, Pak Suar.
Okay, you're welcome.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I would like to talk about the local wisdom in Bali, especially in the agricultural development. Just wait. This is our local wisdom here in Bali. We call the Trihita Karana. I start my presentation from the role of the agriculture in Indonesia and the developing countries that still have significant roles in the national economic, including in Indonesia. Essentially, agriculture development is an effort to optimally to utilize agriculture resources in the context of achieving development goals, like the strengthening capacity of human resources, agricultural institution, increasing the sustainable use of agriculture resources, achieving food security, increasing the competitiveness and added value of agriculture product, developing agricultural business to support rural economic. And the main goal is how to increase the income and welfare of the farmers. If we talk about the agricultural development. And then there is the big question, why we learn, why we concern agriculture? Until now, we still believe that the agriculture sector has the role of providing food. No land, no food. No food, no harmony life. That's why agriculture is very, very important to talk, to discuss, and then to implement well. And then the second one, the role of the agriculture sector is providing employment opportunities. Like in this period, COVID-19, most of the people, the one who work in the tourism department, tourism services, back to the village and then work in the agriculture, rice farming, and the other subsector of agriculture. Producing products needed by the industry. Most of the products produced by the agriculture needed by the industry. And the other side, the agriculture, the farmers, as the market for the industry and contributing the country foreign exchange. And the last, protecting the natural environment. So that's why we talk now about the agricultural development, the sustainability of the agricultural development. What is the challenges now and then our problems? The population in the world, in Indonesia, in developing countries, very fast, it's growth. So we need the need for food, especially rice. So the increasing of the rice production is one of the very, very important strategies to meet the high demand of the rice. There's the program at that time, not only in Indonesia, in the world, there is the famous program from the government in order to increase the production of rice. We call the Green Revolution. This is a fundamental changes in the use of agricultural cultivation technology that started in 1915 to 1918, especially in Asia. And what the result? It's very, very nice at the time. Our country, in Indonesia, we achieve self-sufficiency, especially for the rice. Our supply is more than our demand. Like in the other countries also, in India, Bangladesh, China, Vietnam, Thailand. But we have the problem when the government implemented, the government asked the people, especially for the farmers, to apply, to implement the Green Revolution, we still have the problem, even though we have the positive impact. Like our productivity is increased, we achieve self-sufficiency, because at the time when we applied, when we implemented the Green Revolution, the government firstly introduced the new variety of rice, chemical fertilizer, synthetic fertilizer, synthetic pesticide, irrigation, cropping patterns, credit for the farmers, a machine for the agricultural development, extension, massive extension for agriculture, and then new institution. There are many programs from the government to support Green Revolution. So the productivity of land, the productivity of crops, especially for the rice, increased. And in 1984, our country, Indonesia, achieved self-sufficiency. The big question now, is it sustainable? There are many expert researchers talk about the agriculture development at that time under the Green Revolution, and then the result. After the Green Revolution, we have many problems for the people, for the environment. So the Green Revolution, according to them, is not sustainable. Why? Because when we see not all of the program, not all of the supporting program in Green Revolution, we see, for example, in the fertilizer, what the bad impact, the negative impact, when the farmers use many chemical fertilizer, declining soil fertility, damaging physical, chemistry, and biological soils, diminishing biodiversity, having high dependency to fertilizer. Until now, we still have, whenever the availability of the fertilizer, the chemical fertilizer is shorted in the market, most of the farmers complain why there is no fertilizer. This is the big problem because we already dependent on the chemical fertilizer. And then when we talk about the pesticide, damaging ecosystem and habitat of animal. In the past, we have predators. The animal can feed the pest, but because of using most pesticide, chemical pesticide, so there's the bigger problem for the predators, causing immunity in some pests. Firstly, we use the certain pesticide, the pest immunity decrease, but whenever we always use chemical pesticide, so the immunity of the pest will increase and increase. Diminishing biodiversity. Many small fauna, animal now are very difficult to get into rice farming area. And then, of course, using pesticide, chemical pesticide, make it dangerous for our health. Cropping. If we talk about the cropping, we talk about the local varieties. For example, in the past, the farmers used the local varieties to plant on their farm. But now, because of the Green Revolution, they use the new varieties. In the past, the cropping pattern only rice and rice, because the harvest period is about 5 to 6 months. But now, 3-4 months. So within the year, the farmers must plant 3 times under the Green Revolution. And then the negative impact about the cropping pattern is continuing the cycle, decreasing protein production, because at that time rice 3 times. So 300 for cropping intensity at the time, because the government focused on the self-sufficiency of the rice. And then there's the conflict of farmers about the irrigation water, because the availability of the irrigation water is scarce, especially during the dry season. And the Green Revolution asked the farmers to plant 3 times a year, so it's very difficult to get irrigation water. So sometimes there's the conflict. in the long term, the result is the productivity of rice become decrease and tend to increase production costs, and ecological damage is unavoidable. Until now, we still have in some area in Indonesia, including in Bali. And then the question now, what we can do? Because we already have the back experience under the Green Revolution. So the agriculture must be developed in agricultural agribusiness system on the basis of sustainable agricultural development. So sustainable agricultural development. In case in Bali, the existence of local wisdom is very important to consider to make better agricultural development. Local wisdom. What is that? The subak system. In the Green Revolution, the government established the new local group of farmers. Actually, here in Bali, we already have the subak system. And then our subak here, especially in Bali, we have the philosophy. We call Trihitakarana, means 3 causes for happiness. Paryangan, the God, the harmony relationship between the people and the God, and the Pawangan, the harmonious relationship between the people and other people, and Parliament environments, the harmony relationship between the people and environments. So this is the Sri philosophy. I think Dr. Irina already knows about this one, yeah, Trihitakarana, because it's very famous. Haidai also learn about the Trihitakarana. Professor Nauri also learn about Trihitakarana, because in Bali we have the local wisdom, all of the traditional institution always based on the Trihitakarana. That is a concept. This is a philosophy, the principle of our life here in Bali. But how to get it perfectly is very, very difficult, because there is the external factor and internal factor. So how the implementation of Trihitakarana in subak system? Because all of the rice farming in Bali is managed by the subak system. All of the rice farming. This is the subak, the Water User Association of Farmers, managing irrigation and agricultural system, and has the nature, socio-agrarian, religious, as the hydrological boundaries, a temple, autonomy system, and as the role we call awig. This is the Trihitakarana. What does subak do? Since the beginning, the subak established. When the subak think about the Paryangan, in the past, subak constructed the temple. Until now, subak maintain the temples, perform the ritual activities in every stage of rice farming. Sorry, the farmers in Bali, the subak member, always use the local knowledge when they have to start for planting schedule, because we have the belief here, there is the best day, in which day we have to plant, in which day we have to transplanting, in which day we have to plow. So everything must be based on the best day, according to the Hindu calendar. And then now we have the biopesticide and predator, cave plant topography. So if we go to Bali, to the village area, we still find out terrace of the rice. That is one of the value of the Subak at the time. The member of the Subak, they may not have to make it the plan of the topographical, but they still keep the topographical of the land. So we still have a terrace. So what they have to do, until now, they continue performing ritual activities and keep cultural landscape, maintain social relationships among the farmers and outsiders, and keep cultural landscape. And for the environment, LESA, low external input for the sustainable agriculture, intercropping, terrace, agrotourism, and ecotourism. This is the local wisdom that we implemented here in Bali, based on Trihita Karana concept. So what we have concluded of our discussion is the sustainable agriculture considers specific agriculture methods, practices to increase production and at the same time maintain and help improve environmental services outcome, including conserving water, reducing the use of fertilizer and pesticide, and promoting biodiversity in crop, ground, and the ecosystem. Regenerative agriculture, we have to start to have the program. Regenerative agriculture is a conservation and rehabilitation approach to food and farming system. So it is a focus on social regeneration, increasing biodiversity, improving the water cycle, enhancing ecosystem services, increasing resiliency to climate change, and strengthening the health and vitality of farm soil. So until now, because of the philosophy Trihita Karana, the UNESCO acknowledged the Subak system as the world cultural heritage. Hopefully, this Trihita Karana as a local wisdom can give the knowledge for the people in Bali, especially for the government and the farmers, to maintain, to conserve the rice farming in order to support, in order to achieve the agricultural development program based on the sustainability. I think that's all for Pak Suar. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dwijendra, for your interesting presentation. Okay, I give the last chance for Hedai to present your paper, please. Okay, time is yours.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
You hear me? Okay. I will be sharing my screen. You see? You see my screen?
Today, I can see your presentation.
Yes, I.
Io dito restart.
Yeah.
Behind it.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me now? And can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let me. So I wanted to say thank you to all the speakers that went before me. I felt that it gave us a really broad range of scope in sustainable and regenerative development. My background with sustainability and regenerative development has been a life passion, if you can call it passion, but commitment for sure, in sustainable and regenerative development here in Asia. So today I wanted to spend time on sharing the evolution in regenerative development via sustainable action. And this is my personal journey in regenerative cultures and how we can take it from local to global and hopefully into a virtual ecosystem design thinking. And again, thank you to Dwijendra for giving me this opportunity to present. I want to talk about, my first slide will speak about creating regenerative culture. And the reason I want to discuss the creation of a regenerative culture is to give you a framework of the timing that we have in the world, and the timing that we have in our future right now, and what is necessary to develop this human self-awareness, to continue this evolution of consciousness, and to migrate us towards a human civilization rather than national or even international, that civilization that can flourish and thrive on diversity and artistic expression while restoring the ecosystem and regenerating resilience locally and globally. And this is that time. I mean, in sustainable and regenerative development, we've been waiting for a long time now, and you can see through my evolution that we were expecting this to come. And the best way to say is that Mother Nature is here, and we're gonna need to listen to Mama. Okay. The book that I want to talk about that I want to promote here is Designing Regenerative Culture by David Wall. And this is a great book, and it gives you a synopsis of everything it takes to develop a regenerative culture. And the reason I talk about regenerative culture more than you hear me talk about sustainability is because we're past sustainability. We're at a level now where if we're not regenerating, we are going to see a lot more coming crisis than COVID. And I'm talking about not the climate crisis, because we cannot fix the climate change in the climate crisis, but I am talking about environmental change that's going to happen. So food security is going to be a whole different dynamics. I want to talk about my evolution in sustainable and regenerative development. And so my first evolution is I started a martial arts school and ran the largest martial arts school in San Francisco Bay Area when I was 18 years old. And regenerative mindset comes from body, mind, body, and action strategy. So this is the first thing you need to understand about the evolution of sustainable consciousness or regenerative consciousness. From there, I went into new media creative director, and I worked for the original JavaSoft team of Sun Microsystem, the people that wrote the programming language for the internet. And here I worked as a UX designer and instructional designer. And then from there, I moved into my first experience of sustainability, which is working with the Digital Global Ambassador Program. And back then, we only had to deal with the major global problem, the 8. Now we have 17 Sustainable Development Goal. But back then, it was very difficult to get youth to really focus in on how to be able to sustain, how to be able to develop sustainable goals. And then when you speak about it at the meta level, it's even harder. So we looked at more regenerative solution. And then today I will share with you a lot on my experience on Wow Bali and the 3 Hita Karana that we talk about. And this is a time when I had my daughter, and there's nothing that forced you to understand about regeneration until you have your own children. So WOW's framework is broken down, regenerative framework is broken down to 3 model. And like I said, today, because of my 20 minutes to present such a large topic, if you see these slides that says Loom at the top, if you see a area or a topic on my slide that is interesting to you, please go to the chat, okay? Type in Loom Me and type in curriculum framework or Loom Me on ecosystem framework. And I will send you a Loom video of all my presentation, or especially all the framework or any other presentation I may have here. So the 3 framework consists of a curriculum framework, and it's more for developing active learning and interdisciplinary design thinking. It composed of 5 different interdisciplinary that will develop youth or any person towards lifelong learning or regenerative education, which is you'll be able to learn it, to be able to educate yourself through this process. Second is the personal mobility framework, which is focused more on the individual wellness, the individual creative autonomy, and this transformative leadership, which I learned from the 3 Hita Karana, the ability to not only be the leader, but how do you support each other through the calendar, Wariga, through many process of their culture to be able to regenerate leaders in your community. And the third is the ecosystem framework, how to connect at the multi-stakeholders, corporate, government, NGO, community, and academic, and working together. And this is the slide that I share at ASEAN Connect on one framework in 2018, speaking about the framework and connecting at the relevance level. So regenerative development, you must connect at the relevance level, and all framework must connect at the universality, integrative, and transformative. These three key words are the keyword backbone of SDGs. If you look at all the SDGs, the 17 SDG, they're all about universality, integrative, and transformative. And then from there, move it into the personal connection, which is what you're trying to do is you must inspire, you must connect, and then you must co-create. So these three framework breaks it down to that, as well as you must have the instruction to how to teach, you must have the ability to learn how to research, and be able to regenerate that within your community extension. Then, of course, like I said, move into all the different stakeholder, and then how do you move it into so that way it become practical. And practicality is like intelligence, creativity, well-being, and sustainable and regenerative development is, for us to explain it, is something that's easy to do and simple to share. I also want to give you all the different diverse regenerative presentation that I've done in the last 2 years or last 3 years. And so that way you can see in the regenerative framework, there's so many aspects of development that you can do. Here I spoke at the ASEAN 1 framework on extension, instruction, and curriculum. Here we talked about, for IASPER, we talked about research methodology, where I talked, shared a lot of workshop on interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research based on the 3 framework. Here in the high mountain of the Philippines, we focus the framework in indigenous innovation. And this is where WOW is one of the chair to the first innovation, indigenous innovation forum. And then here at Perpetual Help, we presented our framework for collaborative workshop. And like I said, it goes on to Sustainable and Regenerative Development Research Advocacy Award in 2018, to CMEO, to International Higher Education Research Forum on Industry 4.0. So as you can see, this is a wide range, the framework. So there's nothing there's nothing in education and social economic and in environmental that is not connected to regenerative framework. And here in 2018, we held the first ASEAN conference on sustainable and regenerative development. And so this talk that I'm sharing with you, one of the goals that I want to achieve from this is to give you a wide range of diverse topics. So that way we can promote researcher, we can promote academia, we can promote instructional design towards regenerative outcome. Here is an award by IASPER that we use the framework for regenerative development and community-based ecotourism. On that same conference, we won the Research Advocacy Award, and this is in 2017. So in my evolution of sharing at a higher academic, higher education institution and consortium, I realized that the core of the framework that needs to be focused on, or the evolution of the framework needs to be focused on Industry 4.0, ecosystem design thinking, and social emotional learning. And these particular topics are very interested, are some of the key pillars of academic focus right now. In this past couple years, I presented for CMEO, I keynote for CMEO EduTech. I did plenary speaker for CMEO CSUP, and we did workshop for CMEO Innotech, where we were selected to be one of the top 5 presenting topics. And of course, we presented at UNICEF and different Ministry of Education in Vietnam and Indonesia, and of course, all the different consortium of higher education. And like I said, the core of this is shaping the 4th Industrial Revolution. And what the 4th Industrial Revolution means is everybody is included. This is inclusive. And when I talk about the 4th Industrial Revolution, I'm talking about accessibility, scalability, and ubiquitous. And accessibility has to be made so that way everyone can access, and through all the different devices and all the different network, and from the different level of economic access to different level of education. So our framework for the Industry 4.0 and ecosystem design thinking encompass the 7 priorities of CMEO, the 7 priority of education for CMEO, and that's why I call it my CMEO case study period, where we were able to look at all the different ways that we can apply our sustainable and regenerative framework. So what are different applications that we have been using our regenerative framework in regenerative development? Well, we develop a lot of community wellness development. And this is actually how we were originally, was case studied by Presidio Sustainable Management Grad School in San Francisco, on how we have used it not only for developing permaculture, but using permaculture to reinforce the Dwijendra Karana. And I think this is where Dr. Sadana said, how do we take Dwijendra Karana forward? Well, we need to look at new technology that can enable Dwijendra Karana. We also focus on farming tourism and co-op. And we also focus on smart centers. What are smart centers? Smart center is based on the Balinese Pasaraman model, which is learning center within the community. Before there was school, Banjars had learning centers. And this is how information was passed along. In the old days, you had Banjar, the market, and the temple is where a Balinese culture would get all the information. Now it's so diverse, you know, from education to malls, to media, to social media. So we must go back to developing smart center, where it's more native intelligence, it's more local wisdom, it's focused on, like I said, regenerative learning development and creating internship program, working with partnerships, okay? Other areas are in academia are social emotional learning via cultural dynamics. Right now, social emotional learning is pushed everywhere, and is pushed in a very neuroscience, psychology approach to social emotion. But remember, we're here in Asia, we have 10,000 years of culture, and most of our social emotional learning is in the cultural dynamic, it's in the ritual, it's in the temples, it's in the ceremony. It's in the custom, and so we must need to look at social emotion framework, and this is a lot of our regenerative framework is about these type of connection. We also need to look at, you know, action learning and action research, like real life learning and real life research, because we can no longer wait for the process of education to qualify a certain topic. And I'm not saying this or that, I'm saying both. Smart Center is working with educational, work as educational partner to university to schools, okay? But in focusing on more action and learning and action research. And then of course, everything right now, like I said, it does not count unless it move into inter or transdisciplinary research. In the Philippines, they made it mandatory that university must produce interdisciplinary or collaborative research project. Otherwise, university are being shut down. And I think this is very important because a lot of sustainable and regenerative development cannot happen unless you move into interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research. So we do a lot of workshop in the area. And like I said, most of these I think are pinnacle to what regenerative development is all about. And this is based on our evolution in the last 15 years of developing these type of framework. Then we move into multilateral and interagency development. This is the next step. And university, call this on your government. If they're forcing you to do interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research, then government, you must do multilateral and interagency development. This is how regenerative development happens, the sharing of resource. You must move into ecosystem design thinking. And then, you know, and like I said, and a lot of this because of, you know, COVID, we see it much more clearly. We must move into regenerative technology, which is, you know, how do we share information and regenerate? In the old days, if you want to go to this seminar, you had to drive down to Dwijendra. Now we can watch it from our home on our iPad. And at the end of this presentation, it's documented. And if you type in on the chat what area of my presentation you want me to loom you, and this is a technology that's free to academics. So you please look into Loom video. It's a wonderful way to regenerate information, especially video type of information, and they made it free for academics, okay? So online and virtual regenerative technology. So moving into regenerative thinking, okay, in the post-COVID. And there is a talk by Foresight Institute, Mr. Daniel, who's a director of R&D for Neurohacker Collective. He talked about 3 focus on the horizon of post-COVID. Okay, so the horizon, one is dealing with the economic collapse. Okay, that is, it's happening. And every day that we're being quarantined and we're not be able to find regenerative approach to collaboration, then this you know, economic degradation is going to get worse. So how to define a triage for escalation pathway? Now, if you look at over here, and here's a link that you can access. Yesterday, they published the first multi-agency collaboration between the Department of Tourism and the Department of Agriculture in the Philippines. Okay, these intersectorial, as you can see, is very dynamic for us to look at, especially in Southeast Asia, and especially if we're focused on tourism. And there are a lot of what I call areas of focus that we need to develop escalation pathways, okay? Because the majority of this stuff, I feel, is that we keep on looking at this meta view on fixing the system or fixing, pointing out at big picture or systemic picture view, rather than looking at escalation pathway to fix. And this example with the farming tourism moving towards the combination between the Department of Education, the Department of Tourism and the Department of Agriculture is a great thing. They also brought in the president or CEO of Grab Philippines, who had signed an MOU with them to deliver all the farm products directly to people's home. So these are very simple, using regenerative technologies. I mean, can you imagine if Grab technology was not around? Nowadays we have regenerative technology to be able to network, connect, and develop so we can solve a lot of these problems. The second is to look at systemic repairs. And when I talk about systemic repair, I'm talking about just upgrade, making them less terrible. Don't, like I said, for agriculture and farming distribution chain, I mean, look at Grab, look at partners that you can share. Inside community, they talk about, they don't have internet access or mobile access. Well, I am sure every community has one person that has it. And this reminds me of this story. When I was a kid in Vietnam, my father was one of 3 first officers that got to travel to the United States to study at Annapolis University, a military university. So he brought back a TV, and we were the first family in Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City that had a TV. And so every week we would have a group of kids coming over to watch content, to watch Wild Wild West, James West, play cowboys and Indians. And so nowadays, that still can be regenerative, but instead of a TV, it's a phone that's connected to a mobile line that is connected to the TV, and same with all the breakdown in communication for education and learning exchanges. I call it the communication online crisis. These are same. This is one of the big problems. How do we get it to rural areas? How do we get, into places that don't have access? Well, this phone is accessible. And if there's one person in that village that can connect his phone, so we must learn how to develop, instructional design model. And when I talk about influencer, okay, there's 2 types of influencers, right? Because for these type of, the third horizon of focus is how to create big influence on systemic level. So you look at influencer. Influencer could be that local guy that has that WhatsApp phone. Of course, at the global level, or at the international level, we're looking at CMEO. At the national level, we're looking at larger agency. But I'm talking about, looking at the influencer that use its technology, regenerative technology at the systemic level, both, localized and regional scalability. And I see one of the biggest breakdown in a lot of today's regenerative regeneration of online learning. It's the instructional design. We can no longer push the content that we were pushing face-to-face with the student onto a digital platform. We need to look at how to use video, photography, text, animation, with audio, with music, and break down the curriculum. And this process is called instructional design. And teacher, if I were you, I would loom me on this instructional design framework, and because this is how we are going to develop strategy for online learning. At all the focus of the 3 focus that we just talked about, I call it hyper-priming. And hyper-priming is preparing us for energetic action. Reducing paralyzing rigidity to reducing ambiguity and exhibit action and that creates conflict, reducing conflict. And a lot of this is really simply defined in this Gantt chart, which you can review at your own time or loom me on this particular topic. Now, yesterday when I watched the collaboration between the Department of Tourism and the Department of Agriculture and all the different focus and projections of how they're going to plan to do this. I started to realize in June 2nd in 2014, when I first finally understood the Balinese Trihita Karana mindset and action set and heart set, I mapped out this tourism evolution. And if you look at, from the industry point of view and the experience point of view, which is the mindset, to creative cultures, which is having a transformative leader and creative autonomy, to the different lineage of sustainable culture and ecological landscape, then you migrate into a heart set, which is you produce businesses that's for the people and for the ecology, where it's not only the people win, you win, but the environment win. And it's all connected to the divine, and it's all about the spirit of togetherness and mutualism and creative economics, or circular economy, or donut economy, as Dr. Arena spoke earlier. So from Bali regenerative development, what we focus here is regenerative tourism. And what regenerative tourism for us before was, how do we prepare, how do we dangle the carrot of economics so that way we can build sustainable communities? Okay, we promote tourism, but through regenerative tourism, which is we prepare the village into being more organic. We prepare them to move away from the green revolution, such as that. Then we moved into regenerative farming. So for us, it's very easy from the outside to look in that 1.5 generations ago, everybody in Bali, or 90% of everybody, was a farmer. And now, 1.5 generations later.
Excuse me, Ede.
Yes?
You have 3 minutes to go.
All right, so I won't be able to finish it in 3 minutes. So I would, like I said, a lot of my presentation, you can loom me. But my biggest focus here that I want to talk is to migrate from corporate farming to small farmer. And I went back to the Green Revolution, but in Hawaii, and look at some of the case study. And a lot of the case study is migrating us more towards economic based farming rather than regenerative farming. And a lot of the breakdown why small farmers doesn't work is because of their collaborative network and automation. So a lot of the key issue is in technology access, and now even a bigger issue, which is inspiring the youth. And so I went from case study of case study of the Green Revolution to how do we help women improve nutrition in developing world, beating, they call it beating the zero-sum game. And then I realized that from the zero-sum game, I went into why we cannot win is because of our education model, our post-industrial approach to education. Then I looked at how to invert the model from a thriving community to a sustainable dynamic model, to how do we create product and services, and then how do we coach and mentor and create resource support into a three-legged stool model, which is a three-legged stool of action learning and action research, and the three-legged are regenerative tourism, regenerative education, and regenerative agriculture. And all this, with all this to really happen in the past, was not clear until post-COVID, where we realized that we can do this virtually. And when you do it virtually, you leave a regenerative documentation that other generations of farmer, tourism, agriculture and education can follow. And it's much more clear on not repeating the same mistake. Here I talk about the different regeneration of virtual community dynamics. Like I said, you can loom me. I included some of the regenerative technology. You must know some of the regenerative technology that are out there to, I no longer take note because tools like Otter records my conversation and transcribe it so I can share it right away. I no longer need to do research. I no longer need to document it in the old-fashioned way that everything I read, if I highlight it, it would pull the pull quote for me and it will do the biography for me. There's technology out there like Mega Cloud. They're giving 300-400 gigabyte to academia. Then that's a lot of memory for you to have access of. Here I talk about the different community that you can trust, and I look for a community of insight, in a community that allow you to have dialogue, and like I said, it's all described here. I also define the different cultural dynamics that we have learned from our framework in developing virtual communities. So here's some of the project that I'm working on. I'm developing an EECE knowledge environment for teachers, parents, and administrators in Vietnam that hopefully will get regenerated through CMEO. I am developing a farming tourism virtual community with Miss Kim Calderon, who's my partner, who also we both won the award for community-based development through ecotourism in the Philippines in Region 1. We also, one of the project that I'm working here in Bali, which I can't go into detail because they do not let me share it yet, is a regenerative tourism. So I'm developing a survey topic focus group to facilitate internship program of 100,000 intern per year. And then I am talking with Safe Network here, which is a national collective run by Dr. Novi with Safe Network and Dr. Hani in the Philippines in regenerating a virtual community. And then, so what are some of the project and action research? This is my last slide. We are looking at regenerative tourism. It's our big action research and regenerative project. And now a lot of people call this cheap tourism, but we don't look at it as allowing tourism for people to come and visit Bali cheaply. We're developing regenerative producer, regenerative leaders, so they can go back and become a part of our regenerative development. And therefore, they're vacationing to learn, but not only to learn, but to be able to regenerate economic, social, and environmental practices. We're looking at modularized farming. We broke away from this thinking of urban farming, rural farming, to more modularized farming, such as aquaponic, hydroponic, scalable farming. Just like technology, it needs to be scalable, accessible, and ubiquitous. I think that modular farming and some of the research that we're finding right now can do the exact same thing. We need to develop, and this is a big problem, in Southeast Asia, farming youth culture. And I use Luke Skywalker because, little did you know, Luke Skywalker was a water farmer. The technology that's right behind him was allowing him to cultivate water resource in the future. And as you can see, he is a geek, he is a Jedi Knight, and he has the ability to farm and help his family. A lot of our regenerative learning is focused in the area of new media and play learning. And I say this for the youth, it's already hard enough. You got a world that's ahead of you that is so difficult. I don't even know, and I'm speaking from a regenerative researcher. I don't know how you're really going to solve it, and that's how we call wow. We're so, you have to be wowed by it, to solve these problems. So we're looking at new media and play learning. And then of course, you need to look at ecosystem-based thinking and innovative learning portal. And like I said, you can loom me on this, and because I have to pretty much end this. And to end this, I like to say sustainable and regenerative development is not a destination, but rather an interdisciplinary process that naturally happens. How? Within an ecosystem design consciousness. So we have to think together. We have to think how we can interconnect, and we have to think how we can share. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will do this full presentation on a Lumi video so I can share it more dynamically due to the limited time. Again, Om Santi Santi Santi.
Thank you, Hede, for interesting presentation. Okay, we come to the question and answer session, but I would like to give a chance to Dr. Marianti to ask question. Or the question of Dr. Marianti in the chat box. Okay, the question is to Miss Naomi, Irana, and Mr. Grisdana. Okay, Dr. Marianti. Hello, Dr. Marianti.
Yes, Mr. Suar.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. That's the question, Dr. Marianti.
Yes, Mr. Suar.
Yeah.
The question
Please,
is,
Dr. Marianti.
Yes, Mr. Suar, I can, before I write on the chat about my question,
Yeah.
that you find?
Yes. I find it.
So my question for Ms. Nauri and Ms. Irina, could you tell us like what in your country the activity for the young entrepreneur for achieving sustainable development goals? For Mr. Gede Sedana, could you tell us about the curriculum or project on your university to encourage your entrepreneur for achieving sustainable development? That's it, Mr. Suar. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, please, Nauri, answer the question of Dr. Marianti. The time is yours.
thank you very much, Dr. Marianti, for your very good questions. Yes, recently the many young people in Japan working for agriculture. Now around 70% of new farmers is young people under 30. So they are very interested in involving agriculture work, especially with some area aspect like online for agriculture and also brand making for agriculture products, also application development for agribusiness. For example, for like a brand making, like making a very added value product from agriculture, which is unique in the region, in some village. For example, one case is some village produce free-range egg or free-range ayam chicken. So they raise chicken in open space, and then they have a more like added value, and many like city people want to buy this kind of product from rural area directly. So this kind of the like new adding value product, they also young people trying to produce and sell online directly from farmer to consumer. And here also in Bali, like local people produce many chicken like in free range, and also eggs from free range. So I think this kind of the business could be the one possibility with young people. Also like online business and development software for agriculture business. Like now, like young people develop software by using the smartphone. So farmer can measure the quality of soil by using smartphone, which is very easy way for farmers. So young people can contribute a lot in the agricultural sector in Japan. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your explanation, Ms. Nori. Okay, I would like to give a chance to Mr. Dwijendra to answer the question of Dr. Marianti. Time is yours.
Thank you, Professor Suar. I would like to give the brief answer about the question from Dr. Marianti from Andalas University. In our university, we have the curriculum, our project relating to the how to encourage the young entrepreneurs for achieving SDGs. The first one, we have the program to have the identification and inventory of farmers' family, like the age, the educational background, the family, the son, the daughter, or everything there in the family of the farmers. And then we try to get also information about the land size of farm area, rice field, infrastructure, especially for the economic activities in the rural areas, because this one is very closely related with the young people to work in the rural village, especially in the agricultural activities. After we have the identification and inventory, so we will analyze to have the picture of the family of farmers. How many young people there? How many people already went out from the village? So we will have the program for that one. And then the second one, we have the strengthening a local institution like in Bali for the Subak and the farmers group also, especially talking about the economic activities, agribusiness for their product based on the products produced by the farmers there. And nowadays we have the introduction program also for the digitalization for farming activities and post-harvest, particularly online marketing, e-commerce for agricultural products. And we have also the curriculum now about the urban farming, because this activity for urban farming, I think it's very interesting for the young people. We provide the technical assistances for the young people, especially for the best practices for urban farming. Not only for the technology, we also have the support and facilitate the growth of young people to show this is the market for the product of the young people. So in Dwijendra University, we facilitate the group of farmers, the Subak, and the young people to have business partnership with the agricultural company. Because if not, we have the bad experience after the government gives the new technology and then the farmers already increase the productivity of the agricultural crops, but the price of the crop, the price of the products is very low. So now we have here in Dwijendra University like the bridge, how to make a link between the producer, the farmers, and the market. Even though sometimes we use the commissioner, the local trader, but at least like the Professor Nauri experiences in Bali, we give also learning for the Subak, for the farmers group to be the cooperative. Because in Guam, and nowadays the Subak Guam already have the cooperative and have the business activities there. To what? To give the market, the potential market for the farmers. So they have the many activities there, from the agricultural inputs and then the production also. So this is our program here in Dwijendra University, then our curriculum, and then I involve also the students to work together with the local people, to work with the young people, especially for the agricultural development. Thank you, Professor Swart.
Okay, thank you for your explanation, Mr. Tristana. And I give chance to Prof. Irina to answer the question from Dr. Marianti. Please, Prof. Irina.
Thank you, Prof. Swar, and thank you for Dr. Marianti for the questions. In the case of Malaysia, I just recently, before the COVID and lockdown period, the last 3 months ago, we have a project in Tanjung Piai in southern part of Johor, which is we are identifying the government agency on what are the local action in order to encourage the young entrepreneur to be involved in agriculture. And then this under Ministry of Agriculture, Industri Tani, they have agriculture department at the state of Johor, and then they explain that they have a trainings and then give a training for the young entrepreneur or young man that who has not an income or works to be part of the entrepreneurship in the agriculture sector. So this program is quite comprehensive, but of course, it's a long-term development. It's not overnight effort. They also provides a model, the capital for them to start off, but at the same time, the skills, the trainings within the one period of times. And then they also link them between the farmer, the existing farmer, and also the market. So they have quite very comprehensive. And I think it's not only in a southern part of Johor, they also have the programs over the country. But of course, I heard that the response is not really really good from the young peoples. They are still looking and searching for working in the office, office environments. But I think with this COVID-19, it's like also another hit of us also, that we need to develop our own self-sufficiency and food security. So the youngsters also facing difficulties, knowing that in this current economics, can call it as economic recession as an impact from the COVID. So there is much more room for the youngsters to be involved. So agriculture sector, IT is also one of the sector that identified as a potential sector that can be developed post COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your explanation, Prof. Irina. Okay, this is the last participant. Okay, I would like to invite you to ask a question. The last participant. Any questions so far?
Hello.
Any question?
I have question to Dr. Nauri.
Okay. Okay. Please, Dr. Gede Pasar.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Swar. Dr. Nauri. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Dr. Nauri, can you hear my voice? Dr. Nauri, could you hear my voice?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I think you have known already about the situation during the pandemic COVID-19. So I saw many people work in the agriculture sector today it is mean that look like agriculture is very popular. Yeah, but what do you think of the people that, especially for the former worker from the tourism sector? Do you think that they will continue the new job after new normal? This is the first question. And the second question that I think you have not already, Dr. Nauri, that sometime one village, they have more than one product. Sometimes, yeah, I know that you. Now, this is related to the term of one village, one product. That you said that if we find that one village have one more than one product, how to manage, or how can we choose one product, one village? Because they want to have more than one product, because they can diversification the product and then will increase their income. But in terms of one village, one product, this is will maybe probably decrease of their income. Could you explain about that, Dr. Nairi? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pasai, for your very important questions. Yes, about your question, the one village, can you hear me?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, about one village, of course, has more than one product, which is great. And also when we did implement this program, One Village, One Product in Japan, they also produce more than one product in one village, because that is safer for village to produce more than one product. If only one product, like it's like a monocrop or monoculture, which are dangerous for village, depend on the market availability and the price fluctuation. So if the village can promote more than one product, that would be great. And also about your question, relating to like the tourism sector and agriculture sector.
Yeah.
Yes, I have made interview with some farmers. With some tourism employee, like before they were working as a tourism sector, hotel, like a driver or whatever. But now, so many, most of them going back to agriculture work here in this case after the impact of COVID-19. So they are saying they want to continue agricultural work even though they have the tourism. Because they now realize a new value in the agricultural work. They can have a more important time in their family land, also connection with other local people, chatting while they're doing agricultural work. And also important because agriculture is safety, give the safeguard for their food security, because now they have very less income in the reality. So I think we need a very good strategy, another scheme to make a continuous effort on this agriculture sector, because the tourism sector, of course, gave a lot of opportunity for employment. So if agriculture sector can also provide employment opportunity for local people, that would be more sustainable in terms of the safeguarding the income and opportunity. Yes, I would like to discuss more like how we can make such a strategy with your great academic staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome, Dr. Nauri. Okay.
Thank you, Nauri.
Thank you.
And thank you, Bapak Dr. Gede Pasak.
You're welcome, Dr.
Persuasion. Okay, we are limited by time. Yeah, before we end to the last session. Yeah, before I close this webinar, I would like to thanks for all the speakers, yeah, for the interesting presentation and for the active participation. Yeah, maybe we can meet in other event, and I do not conclude or make summary of this webinar because of all participants and all speakers have presented their information, and the topic is very, very clear. Okay, thank you so much, and for all your activists in discussing, and I would like to, and I close this seminar by Parama Santi. Om Santi, Santi, Santi. Om.